None? Good. Okay. We will call our October meeting for the Newburg R2 School Board session. And if you all please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Did you have it?
There wasn't anybody
Better.
There wasn't anybody off key with a trumpet in the background.
Maybe we should go back to the other way.
We weren't gonna say anything.
You weren't? Both of you, just as soon as we got there.
Maybe we forgot.
I kid. We do have a quorum. Mr. Thompson is out tonight. Everyone else is here. We do need to make one addition to the action items. We need to add the,
Girls basketball discussion.
what's the word?
MOU,
No,
amendment.
what are you doing?
I got one lost.
We're gonna make a minute.
We're doing a consortium, but not called that.
A co-op.
Co-op. That's the word I'm looking
Co-op
for.
conversation.
Couldn't find it. Basketball co-op for girls basketball is what we need to add for letter D to our action items. Anything else we need to add? If not, we need to approve the agenda with the one change.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Brookshire.
Second.
Second, Mr. Birdsong. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0. We have no one for the public comment. We're in for consent agenda. We have two items for the consent agenda. That'd be our approval of the minutes from September and also our monthly financial statement.
Well, no, I'm not seeing it, but I sure thought it was. Let me look up to see what that was.
Saw the bills, but I didn't see it.
It's not in there.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Okay. so
What is that? I'm sorry.
The financial statement wasn't in there.
With the consent
The
agenda.
ledger wasn't in there like it has been. So we will not be consenting the ledger, will be minutes on it.
I'll make a motion on the minute.
Motion to approve the minutes from September. Mr. Brookshire, second, Mrs. Wells. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. I'm going to abstain because I wasn't here.
Okay.
So motion carries 5, and I abstain. Approval of the bills. Any questions on the bills that you saw? If none, entertain a motion to pay the bills.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Birdsong. Second, Mr. Shushank. Any further discussion? I got your name right that time, Dusty. No, that one meeting, I could not get that last name. Save myself. All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0. We're ready for our reports. Lonnie, you want to go first?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, that way you can stay or not, whatever you choose to do. In your packet is a written form of Lonnie's report. Do you want to say a few things?
I didn't even have that.
Oh, okay. Well, we did. And you want to go over your list of the buses and those things?
Yeah,
Okay,
we have 13 buses, currently 3 of them's down. Waiting on parts on one, I'm waiting on a hood, well, looking for a hood for another one. But other than that, everything's going all right. Bus drivers seem to all be happy, so
got a Freightliner hood?
no,
No,
it's
it's a
Bluebird.
Bluebird.
I'm trying not to buy a new one.
I know, I understand.
What happened to the old one?
It just, the hinges, where it hinges on the front's all broke off.
What normally happens.
Too many, yeah, they got a kit that you can get to fix them, but this one's beyond fixing.
That's where the
I mean, is there,
Freightliner same way.
is there a source for those kind of parts used, Lonnie?
Well, I found a lot of hoods, but they're all 3 or 4 states over, and it costs more to have them shipped here than what you could buy a new one.
Is that gonna, I mean, is being down that bus, is that interfering with any of our
Routes are not,
transportation issues?
not at the moment.
How many trip buses do we have? 3,
4,
4? 5 routes?
pardon?
5 routes?
Yeah, 5 routes. Mostly 2 of the ones that's broke down is actually spares, so. 1 route that broke down,
What's
broke
wrong?
down Friday.
Yeah, on a route.
On route.
What's wrong with that?
It's something that's saying codes is something on the fuel rail and the turbo. I think it's the speed sensor on the turbo is not reading the speed right, so it's throwing that code, but I put a new fuel regulator on the fuel rail, but that didn't fix the problem.
Is that,
Have to get down and search wires.
what bus is that you're talking about, Lonnie? Now, like 17, so you're waiting on parts for it,
Yeah,
what's it lacking?
body controller. It's got the upper yellow lines on one side just staying on all the time instead of blinking.
Gotcha. I mean, I think you just have to figure out what you want to do on that hood. I mean, I understand we're trying to use one, which is a great idea, but eventually we're gonna have to,
What's a new one cost? 2,000, 1,500?
One.
why don't you try to get a price and let, Mr. Inslee know, just so we kind of have an idea on that. I mean, obviously I'd like to
Yeah.
save money, but you don't want to wait
I bought it
6 months searching around for a used hood.
Does so.
But if you get 2 more that drop out with crazy
Yeah.
things, you will be,
I've had,
You didn't call, did you by chance talk to Central States and see if they had anything good?
no, I haven't talked to them.
Sometimes they have a
They scare me.
price.
Prices here lately, they've just been unreasonable.
well, that's getting to be about anything anymore.
They might have a hood though. You might.
Worth a call.
Might see.
Yeah,
what
I'll
to do.
check with them.
Any questions for Lonnie? Bus fleet? If not, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Principals? That's right. You want to go first?
Yep.
Okay.
Did change a couple things, I think, at the end here since I placed it in there, but
You want to-
most of it stayed the same. On the updates, we have filled our vending book machine. Our students that earned the Wolf Wins were entered into a drawing. We had our first quarter assembly, and we had some prizes out, and part of those prizes were the tokens to use the book machine. So believe it or not, the kids are pretty excited about that. They like sticking those tokens in there and picking their books.
Where's that at?
Um,
In the
What's that?
libra- Is it in the library?
No, it's up by the office.
Oh,
Yeah. Across from the office. We're
I
gonna
think
do
it's
that
in-
before.
Oh,
hold it.
is it not?
Yeah.
Just outside the.
Right outside the nurses.
Yeah.
First through fourth grade participated in their first field trip. They went to Heartland Farms in Bourbon. This is the first time that they have went there, they said, and they had a blast. So they said there was a lot to do, and the kids they had a really good time. I think they want to try to go there. Yeah. Pre-K and K did go to Pete's Pumpkin Patch again this year. We had our first breakfast with buddies. It was a hit. We had a lot of parents here, so there were a lot of buddies. And they got to enjoy a master donut and coffee with their students. So this is kind of in conjunction with our Title I family engagement
It's huge.
that we have to do. So.
That's great. I heard there was a lot of people here.
Yeah. We had no idea what to expect. So it turned out pretty good. Parent-teacher conferences, again, they were held on Friday, kind of skipped that. We had 86% of our parents here. I thought that
That's
was
tremendous.
pretty dang good. Yeah, 86%. And the teachers were pretty excited. They were like, that's the most that they've had since some of the teachers.
We haven't even
been
been
here.
close to that. I don't think,
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
That's tremendous.
So, let's see what else. We're having our upcoming Halloween parade this Thursday for K-6 at 3:00. So we're gonna check some parents in. We've invited parents. They're gonna come in, sit in the gym, in the bleachers around, and then we're gonna have our kids. I don't know, are any of your kids joining in that parade? We kind of talked about that. I think it's probably just gonna be K-6. We're gonna put their costumes on and parade around for the parents to see. And then I'll dismiss by grade level to the classrooms for the party. That'll be this week, Thursday. We are also doing Red Ribbon Week this week. I put in your little packet, I won't read them all, but each day is a different thing. That's why Doug and I have red on today. So today was Red Day. And tomorrow's PJ Day, so I think I might participate in that too. Let's see. Professional development. We've been having team meetings. We've been having a lot of talks about our curriculum and data. Had a little bit of growth going on. I think we're going to share some data with you guys in December, get more in depth and kind of show you where our kids are going with that. But teachers are excited, kids are excited. We had a lot of growth, believe it or not, from August to October. There was growth in there. A lot to go, but overall, I was pleased. We're going to dig into map data a little bit too. I'll share with you guys that in December too, kind of where we stand with the Frisco League. We got some work to do there too. So, let's see. Chris Scheffel is from RPDC. She's coming in December and January. She is a math. She has a doctorate in math. I've worked with her before. It's not going to cost us a thing. She's going to come in, look at our curriculum, have some talks with our teachers on best math practices to get our kids going in the right direction on there too, because our scores are, we definitely need some help there too. BTAP teachers are still going to that. Year 1 and 2 are new teachers, and then our TNTP is continuing to work with our K1. I've met extensively with those people, and I'm really impressed there. They got it going on, and I think that they're really going to help us move in the right direction there. So I had like an hour and a half conversation with John the one day. Yeah. So. Student enrollment 158, we dropped a little bit there. Student attendance 92.98. So we went up a little bit. And then, like I said, our parent teacher conference was 86%. So. That's all I got.
Any questions, Ms. Wright? Appreciate the work you're doing. It shows.
Been working hard.
We're noticing. People are talking good, so that's good. Positive is always good. Mr. Dunn?
Start off with our enrollment, 712 is 152. Had to update August, September. I ran a report that included some inactives. So that's why September and or August and September earlier were a little off. We've got that fixed on the report there. So staying pretty steady there in the low 150s. FFA staying busy at a blood drive. Now, a couple weeks ago, So appreciate their efforts, with that. And the more people that give blood, the more scholarship money we get. So that's an important thing in a number of ways, the blood and the scholarship money. FFA went to National Convention, they had a good time there. And actually tonight, we have a student that's going to compete in a public speaking competition. I think that may be the first one that's done that, at least in a while, in public speaking.
Mhm.
And so, just one student's there tonight, so anxious to hear how she does. But good to have actually got somebody going to that competition too. I know her and Ms. Train spent several hours here on Monday, just practicing that and getting ready for competition. So
Was there pork producers or beef producers? Pork producers or beef producers, one of those, is that what it is?
I'm not sure
No,
exactly.
they actually have, it's basically public speaking.
Yeah.
And they'll have a topic either they pick or that's given to them. They probably picked their topic for this
I
round.
think so.
But,
And this one though, that's competition, that's later in the year, but for this one?
yeah, well, I don't know about this one. Okay.
Don't know that it's in West Plains, I know that, but as far as the details, I don't have the details on that one.
Early in the year like this.
It could be that.
There's other pork producers
Could be.
or somebody does a speaking competition.
But it's really just, I
It's been a
know,
long time since I did that,
Yeah.
so it all could be different. That's good.
yeah, we got some really good programs. The FFA obviously very active. I know it takes a lot of work and a lot of time, administrating, but also our programs, just seeing the neat things that our kids, get to do too. So a lot of neat things I think we can use to sell Newburg when it comes time to getting those kids here and that sort of thing. And in fact, we are working to plan a day to bring some kids on campus soon. So looking at December and January, but also has to work with the other schools too. So we started that line of communication, trying to get that going. Miss Donna Day, just a really neat experience. I think that's something that a lot of the staff, obviously Miss Donna's going to remember it. But just something I think our staff and our kids are going to remember. From it's just how often you get to celebrate something like that. And then
That's crazy.
And then,
50
but-
years is tremendous.
But the impact she's having on our kids too. I mean, that's inspirational too for all of us. Just kind of remembering why we're doing what we're doing.
She made me go to the back line one time.
You know, I was getting ready to say, there's probably not many people who'd have something negative to say, and then here's the.
She made me go to the back line.
Maybe that was your turning point from the life of crime.
I deserve to go to the back line.
A couple of weeks ago, Ms. Mastery took our 8th graders to WCC so they can kind of get an idea of the programs and the facilities there. Ms. Wright, mentioned we continue to assess our kids in their math and their reading. And so we'll be able to use October and November data to measure growth from August and September. That's our plan on December, being able to share that. We've had a chance to compile that growth so we can share that. Another thing that we're excited about coming up is we're planning a Veterans Day Assembly. The vision for this assembly is to create an experience that kids will remember, try to develop some patriotism, not just something to go through the motions and read a few things, but something that actually just moves their emotions, something to, for them to remember. So Mr. Hurday and Student Council, Ms. Mastery and Beta, Ms. Strain will be helping just a little bit, but we're all working together to pull that off. So that's coming up on Friday, November 8th. We had our PD day last Monday, and we got another one, next Monday, but we introduced the staff to some of John Hattie's visible learning research. I was really, at this day and age, I kind of assumed that, a good chunk of the staff would be more familiar than what they are. For some reason, it's just, they're not. So we took the opportunity for that day to go over that research. I think it really opened their eyes, quite a bit, the ones that may not be as familiar with it. It's the most expansive research in education. And it's decades and decades of, but not just, it's researching other people's research, but putting everything on a level playing field about what works best. It's not, does it work or does it not work, but how does it work compared to something else? And so trying to find those strategies, those things in the classroom that have the greatest impact and allow us to maximize our time in the classroom. And so we spent, quite a bit of time introducing them to that with the understanding that we're going to reference this stuff as we go along. And so we need to have that baseline understanding. So that was a really neat thing. And it really sparks some good conversation too, because there's some eye openers. There's some things that you think would have a great impact that doesn't. Things that you wouldn't necessarily think don't, but do, that sort of thing. And so, like reducing class size, it's the research says it doesn't have a great impact. But when you dig down deeper, one of the reasons why the research indicates it doesn't have a great impact is because when class sizes are reduced, teachers typically don't change the way they're teaching. And so that should free them up to use more impactful strategies. And a lot of times teachers don't. So that's why the research shows that. So sometimes you just have to dig a little bit deeper into the research. Anyway, it's fascinating stuff. I could talk about that for a long time, actually. Our two indicators we're evaluating our teachers on are cognitive engagement and student relationships. And when you walk through the classrooms, you're seeing good levels of both of those. I'll tell you, when I go through and evaluating on the knee, there's a lot of high scores going on, and I'm pretty particular about that stuff because there's a rubric. Either you meet the standards or you don't. And there's a lot of good stuff going on. The teachers are scoring well on those overall. So just really commend them too for creating their classroom environments that are conducive to learning. Our teachers do a good job with that, and overall they're keeping the kids engaged, in what they're doing. So that's been really neat to see. Our credit recovery, we already have multiple students who have completed their first semester of work for credit recovery. We've got one student that's already completed 4 semesters of work in credit recovery. And so, some good reports. Reports there.
That's all I'm going to say right now.
So, yeah. So lots of good things going on, right now.
Great,
Yeah, that's tremendous.
that's good.
I think we'd have got that report over the last couple of years that
Oh, my
you just told us.
Anything, Mr. Dunn?
Keep up the good work.
Yes, sir.
Keep pushing the positiveness.
We've got a good staff.
Yep.
Good staff.
Appreciate it. Okay, move on. Ms. Kingsley?
Hey, just continuing with those CSIP goals, I want to kind of just speak to a couple of things on those. Establish and maintain financial stability in the district. Just want to mention that we do have the PDC revamped and moving forward again. The handbook has been recreated in many ways, and a lot of time being spent going over that, reading it, working with the administrators to make sure that it's where it needs to be. And so that being back in full swing is a good move for us and allows us to have that teacher input in professional development. And that's in your folder for approval tonight. And then the ASBR, I want to mention that was completed and submitted, and we have strong, healthy reserves. Recruit, develop, attract qualified staff. Mrs. Mercer is going to take over the mentor-mentee program, and we're going to house that underneath the PDC committee. So that way it's within that professional development piece, and her leading that, I think is a good move. She's asked for the materials and so forth that Mrs. Martin used last year, and so I forwarded those on to her, and so she's working on picking up where she left off. Infinite Campus, wanted to mention that because as I've kind of mentioned before, there's a complexity there that seems to be challenging for our staff. It's just a complex system. I think it can serve us well, but we have to make sure we understand it well. And so one thing that we're going to try to do, instead of just Miss Ross being the one that's really holding a lot of the tools, is to share that out so that we have other people sitting on that committee as well. So we're going to have 4 people on that IC committee, and we're going to get them out. There's a really great conference coming up. I want to say January maybe, for them to go and attend together and have some good conversations. So that we're digging in a little bit. We make sure that we use it from the building point of view, but also from the application point of view, and that we really understand it from all angles. Plus, then we create several experts in the district that people can go to when they're having difficulty with it. Develop and enhance our quality educational instructional programs. Admin team, I think both of them maybe alluded to it. We're going to do a deep dive with our MAP and EOC data and bring that to you and share that out, but also with their staff so we can start analyzing where we stand and have a real good picture of where we are, and so we can make a good path where we need to go. Elementary, as Mrs. Wright mentions, highly focused on improving student learning, reading, and math. They purchased some new resources, especially in reading, to really have that systematic approach to reading, and have been doing a good evaluation of what's in place right now and what needed to change. And so they're making some good purchases there, and then continue to work on aligning their math curriculum to the Missouri Learning Standards and just making those shifts. And as you said, the lady from RPDC coming, what a great impact I think she's going to have on our math at the lower levels. And then, as Mr. Dunn mentioned, junior high and high school are beginning to look at Hattie's visible learning strategies, which are going to make a huge impact on learning. So I'm just glad they're embracing that so much and leading that effort. So ensuring facilities, grounds, and buses are safe. We're in the process of applying for a cybersecurity grant with the help of E2E. I think we got a lot of that signed off on today. Dave, of course, in the background, really helping to lay out the steps of what we need to make sure that we're where we need to be. Lonnie was here and gave the update on the buses. Just wanted to mention that York Electric, and I don't have an update. I wish I had, but I kind of forgot about this, so I didn't get an update today. But York Electric was here to work on that lighting issue that was on the ball field. The lights went out a couple of times. And of course, it takes a little bit for the lights to come back on after they go out. So luckily, being the type of season that it was, and it wasn't real dark, it didn't impact the game much, but it was something we don't want to leave. So they were working on that. We had talked to the city, and the city had determined it wasn't their issue, so York was here working on that. And then just an update on the roof. I submitted a claim to Uniflex today. The conversation was whether or not we could determine that Uniflex was the actual product that was put on, because our contract didn't seem to see that. But I do have a warranty that names Newburg and Uniflex in partnership. So I think I found the document that they're going to ask for in a minute, and I can submit that to them. So for some reason, that wasn't in the full contract, but it is what it is. So we have it. We should be okay to get that submitted to them. And then I also just asked Music, our insurance company, to take a look, because if they could determine that it was storm damage, in case this didn't work out, then we had another layer of secure or support there if needed. So we're making some headway on the roof. And then cultivating a healthy, safe, warm climate and culture. I want to mention Miss Donna as well, just because it's worth mentioning twice. 50 years in Newburg schools is so phenomenal. She's served as a paraprofessional. She served as a lunch clerk many, many years. And as she talked to me about it, times when staff turned over through the years, there were times she was in classrooms with kids and just really has done so much for the district anywhere and anytime she was needed. She's shared with me her personal mission is making a difference with kids by loving them. And she's certainly done that, made a difference with a lot of students for a lot of years. So we're so appreciative of her commitment. If you all haven't had a chance to see, Phelps County Focus did a really nice article on her and just really did a good job. She was really tickled with it. And I think she came back a couple of different times and said thanks for all the things that the staff did and the students did to celebrate her. It certainly moved her.
It was a cool day, though.
It was a wonderful
It was
day.
just cool.
It was just so fun. It was so fun. And then I will tell you,
So deserving for her.
so deserving, but 300 kids in the gym and you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
When we said she's coming down the hall now, literally, I was standing up by the stage and I could talk like this and they all heard me. You could have heard a pin drop because they could not wait for her to walk in because they were going to just erupt and applaud. And it was just, and then Carl walked in and we were like, oh, like, she's still doing the hall. So there was the laugh, but the anticipation of her walking in was really big. So I was also tickled with the number of young kids who came up to speak in front of everyone with that microphone because they cared so much about her. So it was a wonderful day. It was truly a wonderful day, and she's a wonderful person, and she's assured me that she's not done. So that's what's probably most important. She's not leaving us yet.
But with the young kids, it was also just how their ability to articulate what she's meant to them was pretty impressive too.
It really was. It really was. It was really something to see.
Kids over the line, stand up there and talk in front of everybody for her. I would have lost a large sum of money if I was a betting man on that. I would have not ever believed you'd have that young elementary kids willing to stand up there in front of a microphone.
In front of everybody, in front of big kids.
What better testament for an impactful person?
Right.
I mean,
You know, and I
it's-
sat there watching all of them and I kept thinking, this means something to her, which is what we wanted to do. But all of those kids, if we think about today, sometimes people are not as committed to their jobs, right? We just see that in our society. how big of an impact I hope that made on all those kids watching that, wow, what an honor to, we're recognizing somebody who spent 50 years here when they don't really even understand what 50 years means. They know it's a lot of years. They hopefully a seed was planted in there, that there's a worthwhile reason to spend time in a company and to really give it something. And then I just want to mention the Staff Appreciation Committee has begun working on staff spotlights and staff member celebrations. And the Student Celebration Committee is focusing their vision on recognizing and celebrating students throughout the district. So there'll be some, hopefully more good things to just really getting those opportunities to celebrate all the people that work in the district and that are here. That's all I have.
Any questions, Ms. Kingsley? No? Well, thank you.
Mhm.
Move on. The next item is facilities, and we don't have anything in that item
I don't
for,
have anything there, but I do have a follow-up. I think
Okay.
somebody had asked me about the air down at the ag building and whether or not that had been brought in yet there. And so all of it is in. The only things that are
air
left,
compressor.
air compressor,
Nice.
is the belt, the big belt sander and the plasma cutter still need some pipe work done there, but otherwise all the other things are completed. So very close, and my understanding is Sheldon will be back next week to finish that. And then all those pieces should be done.
Moving on to our action items. Letter A, for assessment plan. In your packet, you saw the assessment plan, which runs through our testing and when those are and how that works in the system. And per DESIB, the board has to approve that, so they have a date of when that was approved by the board. So you had a chance to look at that. Again, it's just going over when we have our normal, on what tests they are and the dates of that.
Grade levels and
Yeah.
yeah.
Any questions of that?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Birdsong.
Second.
Second, Mr. Brookshire. Any further discussion? Seeing none, see the vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0. The professional development plan is the same way. It's a document that Desi likes to have and go through. It has been updated this year. The committee has been put together with a little different look to it, I think. But as far as the plan goes, that needs approval from us, not just to look at it. We have to have-
I don't know if I've seen this before, honestly, but to be truthful. So is there anything in this that makes us a difference? I hate to say it that way, but
We're
it
required to have,
changes or whatever that,
yeah. We're required to have a percentage of our budget geared to go toward professional development committee. 1% is what we have to have. We have more than that in there because it's an important piece of
You
what
bet,
we
yeah.
do, right? And so basically there's a procedure for how we request that, and we have equal representation through the district so that we try to make sure that it's not all elementary heavy or not all high school heavy. So there's a shared responsibility that covers the maybe conferences or bringing people in, travel, meals, it covers all of that. Nothing that would be out of line with all districts and what they traditionally have in place.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Birdsong. Second by Mrs. Wells. Any further discussion?
No, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. If not, all those in favor, please raise your hand. About most of us do.
That got you out of the way.
Motion carries 6-0.
Oh,
I know what I'm doing. That's not the next. I'm looking at next month.
oh.
I put it.
I put it on the 19th, the 21st, is the
21st, right?
Thursday, yeah.
Should be in November 20th. Everybody give it that before you know.
Probably won't have anybody here if we move it to the next week.
Yeah, go ahead and move it to the next Thursday.
Okay, so we'll leave it set for that. That's our normal normal date anyway. So the third Thursday is our normal date. Leave it at the 21st of November, 6:30. Now we'll move on to our co-op. As you know, we've been discussing our high school girls basketball, how that's going to stay active. Our numbers are extremely low, and so the way for us to is to partner. And Dixon kind of reached out, we may have reached out to them. I don't know exactly how that came to be, but that's the other school that in our league that is willing to help us. They're close. That helps everybody that they're that close, which keeps travel down and makes it a little more easier for people to know where their kids are at. So I think that they're to the point where they're ready to submit the paperwork for the co-op part. Would you like to go further into depth? Because I'm going to miss something.
That's fine. You may have questions, so you probably had a chance to read that MOU that's in the.
I did.
Here's a couple
So
copies. if you
there,
like.
there are pros and cons no matter which way we go with this.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of back and forth conversations, with them. And, their board met about a week and a half ago, a couple of weeks ago. And some of that MOU stuff got tweaked after that board meeting. The way it's I think two of the key terms in that MOU for us that would impact us have to do with the amount of time that we're over here in our gym as opposed to their gym, and then also the wearing of uniforms. Those are two key things that really stand out. And so at this point, they feel that if we do co-op, that every game is in a Dixon uniform, even games we would have here. And we're looking at somewhere in the 30 to 40% of practices being in our gym. And so all the other details can be worked out, but as we go back and forth and we've been talking to them, those have been two of the ones that have really stood out the most. There might be some things you guys have read that you have questions on that stand out to you, but as far as we're concerned in our conversations, those have been two key details, there.
Honestly, I assumed at the beginning that we'd have to pick a uniform anyhow. I didn't think that we'd be able to go back and forth. Now, after talking to Mr. Simley or hearing from Mr. Simley, that appears that could be workable, but I'm not surprised by having to go with one uniform.
Michigan doesn't have a preference. They don't care where you play or what your uniform is. I mean, as long as the uniform's legal, they don't care which one it is.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's a Michigan thing. It's just the schools have to agree, on what they're doing.
Sure.
There's pros and cons, to both sides of that. Obviously, there's just something about just being your own school and your own uniform, your own kids.
That's the hard part.
That's one thing. But with the numbers being so low, it's also, you're looking at how can they utilize this year to grow as much as possible as basketball players, and being able to go 5-on-5 in practice is appealing. Being able to put some of our girls on a JV team instead of a varsity, can be a good thing too, because we're going to play a varsity schedule, and there's going to be a difference there with some of those schools that have had kids playing for a long time, and we haven't necessarily had that. And just the sake of numbers too, if we're at 6 or 7, somebody gets hurt, foul trouble, that sort of thing, and conditioning, you're not able to sub a whole lot, but you're also not able to go 5-on-5 in practice. There's pros and cons no matter what way you spin it. Definitely want to be able to answer your questions as best we can too. I don't know, what your thoughts are, what your questions are.
How many players do they anticipate to have?
It's been similar to us from the very beginning. I think they've been saying 8 or 9 maybe, but I don't know how many of those are solid. If we got somewhere in the, let's say combined in the 15 range, I mean, that would be pretty ideal for practicing games.
Oh, yes,
We'd have a full JV and a full varsity.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever anticipated much more than 15-ish, if we did have.
My other question would be, just me, why or do we anticipate 30 to 40% practices here and 60 or 70% over there? I don't understand that part.
Well, I think at the start, Dixon anticipated they'd have 100% of the practices at Dixon.
So,
So we tried to,
I mean, I kind of understand that, but the 30% I'm not good with. They need to be more they need to be more giving than that, in my opinion. That's me. Now, I don't want to blow the deal, but we can't give it all, because if they're in the same boat, they need to give a little bit too. And I don't know if that's happening too much.
well, remember, we're gonna have 5 girls probably. They're probably gonna have 8 or 9. And I can tell you 4 of those girls are freshmen.
Yeah.
I do know that. So they haven't played any high school ball. So
I mean, we need each
the
other.
coach is kind of looking at, I got 4 experienced players coming back, and I got 4 girls that haven't played at all.
Yeah.
So
If they get that.
Taken out.
from Dixon anyway.
I mean, I don't want to jeopardize the thing, because I think our girls, I think the growth is extremely important. So, but we can't give everything either to make it work. That's
Can we
it.
get
I
new
agree,
uniforms
yes.
and the team could be Nixon instead of
So, I mean, the uniform side, I truly anticipated that we would have to wear one uniform. I truly did. And most things I've seen that have been a co-op, you go with one school, that's the uniform that you wear. And so I'm not shocked about that. It would have been nice had they given a little bit on some of that, but
There's been a lot of back and forth over the last few weeks trying to get to where we were. And we initially thought it was going to be more 50-50. When it came back to us, it was a lot less. And we had to go back to them just to try to get up towards that 40% range. But we're probably more around the 30 or 40%. Where we're at. We just got, it's also like what works best for that week, because they're going to have, their boys are going to have home games there. Our boys are going to have
yes,
home games here.
because it's going to be a scheduling nightmare.
And if there's a boys game, we'll probably need to practice in the other location,
Yeah.
just so we can get a practice in, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. One of the things that we want to be very cautious of is we don't want to practice all the time over there, because that puts practice from like 5 to 7 or 5:37 or something like
Yeah.
that.
No, that's my
Our girls-
concern as
Our
well.
girls wouldn't be getting home until after 8 o'clock every
Yes.
single night, and that's a concern I have too, because that's hard.
Yeah, there's no rest time, there's no school study time. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of factors that
Yeah.
tie into that
Yeah,
too. So
it's tough.
that is also my concern about the 30-ish%.
Mhm.
And then we have the bigger expense of the travel to a certain extent. So there's a lot of things that tie into that. So,
The one thing that, some of that may be offset by the fact that we're not gonna be paying it. If we do co-op, we wouldn't be paying the head coach, so.
yeah.
That's our.
And then the other side of it is, I think we travel from here to Dixon, and then from Dixon to wherever we play, if it's on that way,
That's
correct?
probably gonna be a case by case thing, depending on where the games are at.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be times where they're able to stop down here and pick us up on the way. There might be times we just take a second bus just because of where it's at. So I think that's gonna be a night by
Okay.
night.
Yeah, the whole thing's gonna be something.
Yeah.
But, okay. I don't know, I just have those, I don't want us to give a whole bunch to make it work for them as well. So that-
we have nothing, we have no coach.
yeah,
Right.
no, I understand.
We
So
have to give some, or we're not gonna have a program at all.
maybe our girls could wear green socks,
They probably can't do that.
rainbow or something.
We've
Can't
been,
wear them both.
At the end of the day, it's, our girls need to have something, and I understand.
we've been
I'm talking
preparing to
about-
go
I'm talking to
one direction or the other.
I'm not big on being taken advantage of.
Even if we didn't co-op, we've been
Great deal.
trying to come up with a plan B, or even if we didn't, co-op. And so we feel like we've got one that could be a possibility. Not ideal, but I don't think anything in this is ideal.
Mhm. I mean, at least Dixon is pretty close. I mean, that does help, so.
Um,
Because what is it,
The
30 minutes?
What we should have probably done is we should have reached out to, Bell and Deanna and get it in softball this year. And it'd be interesting to reach out to the Bell AD to see how that
How it
played
works.
out. Was it a lot worse than what you thought it was gonna be, or would it be better than you thought it would be?
Yeah.
Because you never know, it's one of those things, you gotta go,
Curious.
you have no idea
Yeah.
how it's gonna shake
You
out.
bet. No, and even they may say, man, it worked great, and then this It's
But at
not,
least if we had somebody that's, oh, we just went through that, and, it was better than we thought it would be, or no, it was terrible. I just now thought about
would have been a good idea.
We leaned on the MOU from Lakeway and Richland that just did the soccer.
Yeah.
So we had a conversation with them.
How did that go? Did they have any ups or downs from that co-op? Do you know?
It just got started. I don't know if they have had enough time
Okay.
to kind of really talk about.
Oh, that's happening now.
Yeah.
That's now.
I'm curious, we do have, basketball parents here. This impacts you guys too. That means something, talk about impacting families, and so
Well, I think at the end of the day, we're parents and we'll do whatever we need to do to keep our kids engaged in activities.
Now, we're thinking that we will bus our kids from here to practice, right? Is that what we're thinking?
yes.
I'm hoping that we can figure out how to use
Well,
a
we're
smaller
going to
vehicle
transport.
on the
We're planning to
transportation.
transport. Bus is the wrong word. We're planning to transport our players from here.
Yes,
Okay,
They
yes.
transport,
okay.
what the, how the agreement says. If they have it here, they transport to.
Yeah,
transport
okay.
to it.
We gotta do what we gotta do.
And we probably won't have that expensive.
What do the girls
Ford
think?
assistant.
Are the girls okay with it?
My daughter was.
My daughter was fine. She just said, I just want to play. I don't care where.
They just want.
See, most of it is when
That's
you're an
why-
athlete, it doesn't matter really who's coaching or what you're doing, as long as you're on.
Well, I think this is it'll be a little bit of a logistical issue to start with, but once they get into the groove, these girls know what their schedule's gonna be.
Yeah,
We try to do it on our own. We get 6 girls show
Oh,
up.
no,
Two of them drop out.
I understand.
We
that.
got 4
can't-
girls that wanted to play that we're just gonna have to forfeit the whole season.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And that's worse, I think, than co-opting by far, in my personal opinion. But my daughter's, she said, I just want to play. I don't care what color uniform I wear. I just want to be. Plus, this time of year
So
gets dark at 5 o'clock. What are they gonna do? Go home, sit in their room, and be on TikTok for 3 hours?
I totally get the school pride thing, and that means something. And this community loves their basketball, they're passionate about it.
Now, we will have home games here, correct?
Yeah, they're probably about 4, so.
Yeah.
Few
Yeah,
home games here.
4-ish. So it'd be about almost half the home games be here.
But see, that's what I
Ish.
figured, because
Yeah.
the four is close to half, because
Yeah.
you only have 8 or 10 home games. Because you have a roughly 20-game season.
Yeah, and they would come
Without
down to meet the
tournaments.
Wolves. So I don't want to minimize the school pride thing. I've tried to really think about what's going to prepare, because we've got a young core. It's not like we've got a bunch of juniors and seniors.
Mhm.
We've got a young core. And what's going to prepare them more for their junior and senior years
Oh, yeah.
with kids coming up through junior high. And I've struggled to get past that part, for me. You guys obviously have deeper roots to Newburg than I do, so that means something. But for me, looking at the program and what's going to prepare the girls down the road, not just this year, but also the next few years, I just think they're going to grow so much more.
And we anticipate next year that we should have enough for 18.
This is looked on by both schools as a one-year thing.
Yeah.
And Adam, I'll tell you, I mean, if we had 3 seniors,
Oh,
I would be
fighting.
I'm
fighting to
not-
go a different
yeah.
direction.
I'm not against it.
Because
I'm not
I
saying that by
believe
any
if you
means.
were
I
a
just-
senior, having a co-op would be just, not what you want to do. But with the younger girls we have,
Sounds like we had to push a little to get close to 30%, and that's disheartening. We should have had a better.
well, I think we did. I think it was the Dixon board.
That's what I mean.
That's what it was.
It wasn't,
much
it
pride as they
wasn't the
have in their hometown,
administration,
we
the
have the same
AD,
here.
it was the
So
Dixon
that should have
board.
been
But
understood.
you also have to think about, like what you mentioned, once you start putting out the schedule, it may be more that we have
Yes.
40 to 50% just because of games
Yeah.
and activities and things that are going on. And so they may
Very
end up
possible.
happen.
Well, I mean, it's gonna be something for this year anyway, so if we can make it work.
It's just,
And I think
Don't take
also
live.
this year, I think with Mr. Dunn and Mr. Simley here, I think they're gonna be able to have a lot better
Controlling
hands
things.
around that of what's going on than maybe we've had in the past also.
But there's gonna be people not warm to the idea too, and we're gonna.
No, there is.
Yeah. and
There's gonna be a little bit of it, but the big thing is, my biggest concern is our girls. And if our 4 or 5 can make it work, then it can be worked.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. So, and then as long as we get to have a say to a certain extent in what's happening. I mean, because if they've only got 4, then they need a couple of our girls just as bad.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a couple of our girls that can add some talent on the team. I'm just saying a couple.
And their coach sees that.
It's good.
I've talked.
Which I think the coach will be no problem.
He wants to.
He's excited.
I think once we get to that point, it'll be the easier sailing part.
We, to a point where we can have a motion to move forward with the co-op with Dixon.
I'll motion for it.
I'll second
Motion by Mr. Shear,
Take the pressure off
Second
Matt.
No,
Matt.
no, you, it's just a-
No, I'm
They're
good.
alumni.
No problem.
it. I'm like, I'll take all the heat.
To go with them.
I mean, it's not, I wish we had a better situation. We just,
No, they only get so many
they
years.
can if they don't want to play their senior year.
You only get 4 years.
So you'd have to actually forfeit a year playing high school
That's a second.
Yeah,
to be an 8th grader and play
Yes.
varsity.
So you don't do that.
You only get, you can do it. There's no place for people that have done it, but. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Being none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0.
But
We're always the best.
we all,
We are,
we all know it's a tough one, but we
It's
all
hard,
know what's best.
it wasn't easy for Dixon either. So I think we're both all in the same boat. to
I
some
mean,
degree.
we're actually fortunate that we've got someone
Right.
right
that's
next door
willing
to
to
do
do
that.
it, so our girls can
Yeah.
play.
It's been very fortunate that we.
No, I don't,
to do
as
this.
far as team wise, I think our girls and Dixon girls will be fine.
Oh, that'd
Yeah.
be fine.
I think that'd be fun.
Be fine.
They didn't, you know,
Okay.
told by-
Anything else? Our next meeting will be November the 21st. Need a motion to go into executive.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Birdsong. Second, Mr. Shushank. We'll do a roll call. Mrs. Wells.
Here.
Mr. Shushank.
Here.
Here.
I mean,
Here. I know you're here. Yes.
yes,
Here.
Yes.
Cook Sharon. Birdsong. I'm a yes also.
Are you sure you're here?
6-0.
I don't know. I questioned.
We'll take about a 5-minute break. Then when we come back, we'll have everybody in the hall for just a minute and we'll have the friends come in. Okay? Okay.